Fairview, Double Top, heading towards Forvis, then Travisville, eventually making its way further north and east. And this storm system is traveling about 45 miles an hour north and east. And not only do we see these quick winds, that rotation, but we're also monitoring for that threat of hail, as well as very, very heavy rain that could lead to some locally flash flooded areas. So again, very important that you have your weather notifications turned on. And right now, Fairview being impacted, soon up Forvis, so go ahead and get into your safe place. Again, that's the most interior room in your home, preferably the bottom floor. If you have a basement is preferable. But again, try to get away from those windows so that way that debris does not fly through the windows, a closet, a bathroom, you name it. And also do not be in a mobile home. And again, this is affecting Fairview now in Fentress County, heading towards Forvis and then eventually Travisville. Ken?
Margo, again, this is along an entire line of storms, and it's going to be like this as we go through the night tonight. You can see this line. Again, it's heavy rainfall. That's why we have to look inside these storms, inside these cells, to see where there actually could be rotation. You can see the heavy rain that's making its way into Cumberland County in Crossville. This is our camera there, top City Hall. Again, you would not be able to see with the naked eye, most likely, if there was a tornado in these cells, unless you happen to see some kind of a transformer or power flash. If that happened, that's why we have to rely on Doppler radar, and that's why looking inside these, we can actually see the little spin ups. There's something we'll need to watch back into Bledsoe County, a little further to the south. It's going to be like this as we go through the night tonight. Usually there's not much warning with these as they come through. So can't stress this enough. Even if it's only, quote unquote, a severe thunderstorm warning that's issued for your area, you need to take shelter with this, because at any point we can see the quick little spin ups with tornadoes. Again, right along Highway 127 is where this would be. Again, we're kind of far away from the radar site here. We're probably elevation, the way the scan is at about 6,000 feet up. So we are seeing broad rotation, but we're at least seeing that, and some very strong winds at minimum. So sharp place around 540, then it would make its way through Pickett and into northwest Scott County. You have not been included yet into Scott County for the warning, but if so, we'll keep an eye on that. I'd say close to the top of the hour or just before, it would be in that area. But again, right through here, it would be pretty close to 127 if there was a tornado with this system. And again, you probably would not be able to see it because of the heavy rainfall that we have with this. There's a lot of lightning with it as well. That's going to be the case as we go through the night. 51 strikes of lightning in the past 15 minutes with this cell. But again, it's right along Highway 127. As Margo mentioned, probably pretty close to the Double Top area, Jamestown, east side. You need to make sure you're in your safe spot as well. And sharp places, this is kind of making its way towards the north and east. I would be there, Jamestown and East Jamestown as well, just to be safe. Even though the track doesn't cover your area, it would be pretty close to you right now as we speak. Looks like they're going to continue the one here for Pickett and Fentress at this time. Again, we're looking back and forth between the Weather Service. We're talking with them. So yeah, they've canceled the Overton, which makes sense. So it's moved out of Overton County, but it is still in the northwestern side of Fentress County at this point. There's an updated scan for you again. If we have some rotation with it, kind of hard to see, but I'd say it's right there between Cedar Grove along 127 down through the Jamestown area. So still pretty close to where we have that track at this point. But the warning goes officially for another 12 minutes across the area until 5:45 Central or 6:45 Eastern time. So I want to keep an eye on that. Margo, I'm going to let you continue with this, and I'm going to go ahead and look at that storm a little further to the south down towards Bledsoe County. I want to keep an eye on that one as well, because we'll see that opportunity for those storms south and west moving to the north and east, and could impact some of our southern counties as well.
Yeah, no, Ken, just kind of still looking at that Fentress County rotation that's occurring right now. Again, if you're in the Fairview community, be in your safe place, as well as Squirrel Flat, Wolf River. And again, this system is traveling north and east at about 45 miles an hour. So even once it leaves Fentress County and leaves our viewing area, next up would be the far northwestern half of Scott County and the far southeastern or southwestern half of McCreary County, Kentucky. And still seeing some rotation within Fentress County here with this storm system. And again, like Ken said, this tornado warning is not going to expire until 5:45 Central Time. Time, 6:45 Eastern Time. Now, I was kind of taking a look at kind of those winds and also looking at our reflectivity showcasing the rain, and that rain is heavy. Let's kind of take a look real quick at that filter reflectivity just to kind of show where that rotation is and where we're seeing that heavy rain. So that rotation, remember, was in between Wolf River, Squirrel Flat, and you can see the really deep reds, even the purples right here, kind of closer toward just north of East Jamestown. And again, this is why we urge you to have your weather notifications turned on, because most of this system, what it's going to do is going to have these quick spin up tornadoes that are really going to be hidden by rain. This rain is going to be very heavy, and there's also that possibility of hail. We're starting to get a lot cooler in the upper atmosphere to see that capability of producing that hail. And right now with this tornado warning, we do have the potential to see quarter-sized hail for the area. Now again, we are watching in between Squirrel Flat and Wolf River. Going to take a look back closer towards that velocity, just that way we can keep track of where we're seeing that rotation. And again, this is where we're kind of watching near Wolf River now. Forbes, if Forbes, you need to take your safe place as well. And again, it's continuing to trek north and east. And even though Sharps Place, you know, you're not in that direct line, I would still go ahead and get into your safe place. Again, the most interior room in your home. If you have a basement, that is preferable. If you don't, maybe a closet under the stairs, a bathroom under the stairs, anywhere where there's no windows or outside walls touching that area. And if you're in an apartment complex, go ahead and make some friends with the bottom floor of your apartment complex. Not a safe place to be, especially if you are second floor and above. And again, we're going to watch everything, especially moving forward, because this is going to continue to be a trend heading on into this evening, going into the overnight hours where we have these quick spin ups along this line because those winds are so gusty. And not only are we concerned about that tornado threat, but also the gusty wind threat, that wind damage threat, because we do expect to see wind damage up to about 70 miles an hour or greater. So those straight line winds can really cause some damage for some areas, not just these tornado warnings. So it's very, very important. Again, you still have your weather notifications turned on, and still probably head to your safe places, even if it is a severe thunderstorm warning, because these storms still have that capability of producing those gustier winds as well as a tornado warning. Ken, I'm going to send it back to you because it looks like you have that camera pulled up in the Crossville area.
We do, and just to let you know, they extended that warning, not the tornado warning part, but they've added a severe thunderstorm warning on the end of that up into northwestern Scott County. But this is Cumberland County, severe thunderstorm warning out for you, and you can see very heavy rainfall making its way through, strong winds as well. And again, these storms at any point would have the possibility of seeing a spin up, a tornado, and you would not be able to see it because of the heavy rainfall we have. So that's why we say if warnings are issued, even if it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, we want you to make sure you are seeking shelter. And there is a severe thunderstorm warning for Fentress County that goes until, or excuse me, Cumberland County until 6:15 Central or 7:15 Eastern Time. Been keeping an eye on some of these storms down to the south. This cell that's basically out of our viewing area right now, this is back into Van Buren County, but it's moving to the northeast. And the reason why I want to watch that is because earlier I was seeing at least the possibility of maybe some quick little rotation, quick spin up rotation with that right through here. And if that's the case, it would clip southern sections of Cumberland County, kind of south and west side. It's really hard to see with all the warnings that they have across the area. But again, the yellow warnings are severe thunderstorm warnings. The red is a tornado warning. There are also storms that are developing farther to the south that are coming up the valley. And these are the ones that we really are going to have to keep a close eye on as well. These cells, there's one in Chattanooga right now between Red Bank and Soddy Daisy. They're all moving quickly to the north. So it's those cells and the ones that form out ahead of it that we'll have to watch as we go over the next couple of hours. But the main one that we are keeping an eye on right now, as Margot's been talking about, is the one here into Fentress County. And it looks like that warning is still going to be ongoing for a little bit longer. I think officially that goes until another 6 minutes. We'll see if they expire that warning by that time. My guess is they probably will. But beyond that, it looks like they will just extend that to a severe thunderstorm warning across the area. Margot, you've got some more?
Just wanted to point out, so I was reading National Weather Service Jackson, so we have 3 National Weather Service, issuing these warnings, these watches and such. And for McCreary County specifically, they are going to put a severe thunderstorm warning instead of a tornado warning, but they have a tornado tag possible just because this rotation has been prevalent on the most recent scans, but they're going to go ahead and watch that. We're about to enter into kind of a dead zone right here. This is where the radars kind of have a hard time meeting, especially on the very far edges of the Cumberland Plateau there. So definitely going to have to switch radars, but watching this rotation again, this is between Sharps Place and kind of closer towards, I think that's Roland and Jimtown right there in between the Fentress County line and, did you say the Pine County? Is that Pine County, Ken? North Fentress? Pickett, thank you. Sorry about that. But again, we're watching that rotation. It's become a little bit more broad as we've gone over the past few moments. But again, we're about to enter into that zone where the radar has a hard time reaching, at least from Nashville. So definitely something to watch. And again, this severe thunderstorm warning that's moving into McCreary County has a tornado tag with it. And that just means that severe thunderstorm has the capability of producing a tornado. It has in the past. And again, we've been watching kind of that rotation as well as those really gusty winds. Ken?
All right, yeah, Margo, what we're going to do, we're going to stay on just a little bit longer until the tornado warning expires, the one we've been watching back across Fentress County. As she mentioned, what the Weather Service offices are going to do, they're going to extend the severe thunderstorm warnings like we have seen up through portions of McCreary County here and northwestern Scott counties, but they put an extra little verbiage at the end of it that says a tornado is possible at any point, just like what we've said with these storms. That's why we say, even if it's just a severe thunderstorm warning that gets issued for your area, we want you to make sure you are seeking shelter from these storms. So this goes a little bit longer, another 4 minutes from right now. So if another tornado warning does not get issued upstairs, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and throw it back to regular programming, but we will be ready to come back on if another warning comes out. But I will look a little further to the south of this and just show you for Cumberland for a tornado?
Yes, tornado warning.
And it's going to be with this cell, that one that I was watching earlier right through here. So, yep, we're going to stay on the air. It is with this cell right through here. That's some pretty tight rotation right there, Margo. The cell right here coming into the southern part of Cumberland County. This warning is going to now go until 6:15, so another 30 minutes from right now. And this storm right through here, it's moving north. It's moving a little more north than it was northeast with the other one, so we're going to put a track on it this way. Herbert Domain, if you know where that is, at 543. Midway 551, Hale Mill at 554, and Clifty at 556. So there's Clifty right there. Newton's 547, pretty close to Herbert Domain right about now, actually. Yes, it's right there. So moving to the northeast, to kind of put this into perspective, the gold line right through here, that's Interstate 40. So that's going to go right back through here. To put it in perspective, there's downtown Crossville. There's Brown Elementary, Lake Park, and West Mill. So we are going to be keeping a close eye on that camera as this storm gets a little bit closer. I'll turn it here to the southwest in just a minute, but anybody that's in Newton, Lake Park, Clifty, get in your safe spot now. This is probably one of the tighter rotations we've seen on a storm so far for today across the area. So we need to take very serious precautions with this storm. Margo, I know we're going to continue to watch this. I'll let you talk about this cell. I'm going to look a little further south about those ones that were coming up from Chattanooga to make sure we don't miss any of those coming into our southern counties as well. But I'll let you take over here on this one in Cumberland County for now.
Sounds good, Ken. Just kind of keeping up with, what the National Weather Service is saying. So again, we're seeing this tight rotation near the Lonewood community and Herbert Domain. Next up would be Newton, Lake Park, and Thomas Springs. Go ahead and get into your safe places. Next up after that would be Clifty, West Mill, and even going closer towards Cumberland County High School. And as Ken mentioned, this is going to cross over I-40 along the plateau. Also want to mention, not only are we watching these winds, this tight rotation, but we're also watching the rain. They've already issued a flood watch and warning just west of us in Nashville's kind of area in Putnam County, and also they're watching some rotation in Bledsoe, Ken, I'm sure you're keeping an eye on,
Yep.
keeping an eye on that. But again, Lonewood, in your safe place right now. Newton, in your safe place right now. Lake Park, Thomas Springs, in your safe place right now. Clifty, go ahead and start moving there. Same with West Mill, Pleasant Hill. And again, if you are near the Cumberland County High School in Cumberland County, go ahead and get into your safe place as well. And again, next up after that would be Fairfield Glade, as well as Creston. I think that says Bowman, excuse me, on there, and Mayland. Again, this is a tornado-warned storm. This is really tight rotation, at least for the last couple of scans. Moving on through, and this is moving into the southwestern half of Cumberland County, and it's moving rather quickly. Again, we're going to continue to watch everything, but this is one of the tornado warnings in our area. I believe the other one that was in Fentress County heading towards McCreary County, Kentucky, has ended, but they do have a tornado tag with that severe thunderstorm warning. And again, what that just means is that storm system moving into that county in particular has the capability of producing rotation, of producing a tornado warning. So that's why they kind of have those tags on there. But again, we're watching that, and it looks like, Ken, just south of Cumberland County, is that Bledsoe, right leading into a few of our other counties. There's a tornado warned storm right there.
Yeah, Margot, it's with that cell. Again, this is what the camera looks like, Cumberland County and Crossville. We'd be looking back towards that cell that's making its way up through the southern part of the county. You were not going to be able to see it. If this is a tornado, literally, tornado is a column of air reaching the ground, you would not be able to see it unless you happen to see the power transformers flash or something like that, because the rain is so very heavy with this. So I want to point that out. One, obviously we don't want you going out looking at it, but two, that's what we wanted to point out. You won't be able to see it. That's why we have to look at it in Doppler radar. Another one we're watching just north of Chattanooga. This is the thing I was talking about. These little quick spin-ups just east of the Hickson area. Again, not in our viewing area. There it is. Tornado warning. This is what I'm talking about. We're going to see these quick little spin-ups that happen all evening. These are the ones we'll have to watch because these will get a little closer to our viewing areas. There's Ray, there's Meigs County, so not quite in our viewing area yet, but we need to watch those ones coming up from the south. The main one we will continue to focus on, obviously, is going to be this one that's in Cumberland County, just now starting to make its way up near Newton, Lake Park, Hale Mill. This is racing quick. Let's see, it's about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So if it stays on this track, it could be very close to downtown Crossville. There's Erasmus, Pinedale, Hale Mill, Brown Elementary School. There's Stone Memorial. There's I-40. So if you're familiar with these areas, if you live in and around here, even our friends over there, Dorchester Golf Course at Fairfield Glade, we have to check on that camera. But again, we're getting pretty close to sunset in some spots within the next 30, 40 minutes or so. Actually, I think it's about an hour from now. I think we're at about quarter till our sunset times now. But this cell definitely showing some decent rotation. Can't say 100% that there's a tornado there, literally on the ground, but definitely some tight rotation with this. So Erasmus, that's going to be at 5:55. That's Central Time. Hale Mill, that's at 5:53. Lantana, that's going to be at 5:57. That's getting close to Crossville itself. So again, you're not going to be able to see it. Very heavy rainfall. Again, I know you may be covering up world news, other programming. It's our policy. We stay on the air. If there's any threat for a tornado in any part of our viewing area, and this does include Cumberland County, as we speak. Margo, I'm going to let you continue to watch those up into Scott County and to southeast Kentucky as well, just to make sure they're not going to spin up as well. But immediately, this is the one that we need to keep an eye on that's moving to the north and east. Again, the tornado warning, Cumberland County goes until 6:15, so about another 30 minutes from right now. There's an update. Maybe it looks like it just recycled, maybe came down a little bit in intensity. Don't let that deter you, though, please. Make sure you are in your safe spot. I'm going to go back just a couple of minutes and see. Yeah, right there when it was near Newton, we had some really tight rotation showing up, strong rotation or shear showing up. So again, these often do. They'll show some signs of cycling, which means they get strong, they may get weak, then they get strong again. And it's just depending on the environment that it's moving in. Yeah, Margo?
Oh, I sneezed.
Oh, bless you.
Sorry about that.
We'll continue to keep an eye on that. But again, I'll watch the one that's down near Saudi Daisy as well. If you know anybody that's between Chattanooga and Saudi Daisy, give them a ring, make sure they're safe. We'll keep the eye on the Ray, Meigs County as well, Bledsoe County. These aren't officially in our viewing area, but I know some people can watch us there. But this is the main one we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on. It looks like maybe now it's started to recycle back that last scan.
Yeah, definitely that rotation detector, Ken, showing starting to see some stronger rotation within that storm already.
Okay.
Yet again, kind of closer towards the Lake Park community as well as Thomas Springs. And again, this is heading towards Fairyland, and Crossville. So definitely something to watch. Again, kind of keeping an eye on the rotation. This is just showcasing how quick those winds are around that storm area. And again, it's affecting Thomas Springs and Lake Park. And as Ken mentioned, there was very, very tight rotation near the Newton community in the far southwestern half of Cumberland County. And again, next up would be Fairyland and then downtown Crossville, eventually making its way towards Fairfield Glade, Windsor Bluff, Creston, Drowning Creek, and Pleasant Hill. So go ahead, if you're in near downtown Crossville, Fairyland, even near Brown Elementary School, West Mill, and Clifty, get in your safe places already. And again, continuing to watch that rotation, also continuing to watch if there's any rotation with that storm system that was moving through Fentress County, where they ended up putting out a severe thunderstorm warning, but with a tornado tag. It looks like that rotation has broadened, which is some good news there, but still keeping a very close eye on that rotation that's right now kind of affecting Lake Park near Hale Mill, Clifty. Go ahead and get into your safe place. Same with Highland Estates. Go ahead and get into your safe place, as well as Crossville, Foxfire, Crossville Estates, again, Creston. The rotation did broaden some, but it's still kind of trying to regenerate, retighten up. And again, this tornado warning expires at 6:15 Central Time, which is 7:15 our time, and we will stay on until this warning expires. But again, like we've been telling you guys, just taking a zoomed out look to see this storm system as it moves on through, this is something we're going to have to keep a very, very close eye on, are these quick spin up tornadoes within this line. You can see just how heavy the rain is closer towards Spring City as well as Crossville. That's indicating to us that these would be rain wrapped, so you would not be able to see these. But again, if you do have a tornado warning or even a severe thunderstorm warning, go ahead, go to your safe place. It's better just to be there as these storms are passing on through, and this is going to again continue to be a trend as we head further into this evening. And right now, for our viewing area specifically, we have one tornado warned storm, and again, that's in Cumberland County, lasting until 6:15 Central Time, 7:15 Eastern Time, and keeping a very close eye on that storm system passing through the northwestern half of Scott County and the southwestern half of McCreary County. And even behind this line, there's another line coming up just south of that that still has that capability. This is going to occur overnight. So again, this is why we're urging you to have your weather notifications turned on. Be prepared now before those storms arrive. And also not just the tornado warning that we are concerned with, it's also the winds that we are concerned with, the possibility of hail, and again, flooding. I'm going to send it back over to Ken with a few updates. Ken?
Yeah, Margot, this is what it looks like right now, again, from atop City Hall in Crossville. You can't see the visibility. There's a lightning flash as well. So the visibility very low because of the heavy rainfall that's moving in. But again, can't stress it enough. You're not going to be able to see if there is actually a tornado in this cell just with the naked eye. That's why we have to look at it through radar. It is still showing some decent rotation with it. That's why we're staying on the air. That's why the Weather Service is continuing the tornado warning. And again, right through here, maybe not quite as pronounced as it looked just a few minutes ago, but heads up, Erasmus headed in your way, pretty close to Lantana, 557. Comanche Subdivision towards the top of the hour, and Lantana Estates, Janmore Acres, and Obed River Estates at 601 as this moves to the north and east. Again, can't say for certain that there is an actual tornado making contact with the ground, but the rotation with it certainly looked pretty potent earlier with this. Maybe a little bit, like I mentioned before, where we're seeing it cycle a little bit. In fact, if I go back just a couple of scans, you can see what I'm talking about. It looked very impressive there. And then the last couple of scans may be starting to recycle just a bit, but there's still, to me, looks like there's an opportunity we could be seeing some type of rotation with that cell right there, getting pretty close to the downtown Crossville area. I'll go back quickly, take a look at the camera. Just going to sit here for a second just in case we see anything. If it would be here in the distance, I've got it pointed due southwest, looking right into that field of view. So you would want to be looking as it got closer for some maybe type of a power flash or anything like that. We don't want to see that, of course, but this is just, we'll keep an eye on it. Looking back towards the southwest, certainly some very heavy rainfall with this cell as well. Quickly, while we're here, I just want to point out, we still have a tornado watch for Cumberland and Fentress County that goes until 9 Central Time, but we also, they've extended that a little further east, and that does include portions of East Tennessee. That's going to go until 1 o'clock for Knox County in the morning. Blount County, Monroe, Loudoun as well. And even though your areas to the east are not included in this tornado watch, same thing into southeast Kentucky, it's still possible. We'll see if they extend this. My guess is they probably will as this line inches its way eastward and those cells race along that line. It's almost like a highway. The cars are moving up and down on it as the highway's moving east. And the same thing's going to happen with these warnings as we go through the night. So again, a watch means conditions are favorable. A warning means that the storms, we actually have confirmation of a tornado or it's imminent and you need to make sure you're in your safe spot. Margot, you've got some more over there, I think?
Yeah, so kind of took a backed up look just a few scans ago just to see our debris detector. This is just indicating to us if there's being stuff thrown up into the atmosphere. That helps us know how strong this rotation is and also to determine whether or not something is on the ground. And at 6:44, which is 5:44 Central Time, just as this rotation was entering into Cumberland County, you can see the green right there. That's indicating kind of a strong debris detector. I also do want to point out, yes, we have this tornado warning, but also there's been reports of thunderstorm wind damage in areas further west with these storm systems that are moving on through. So definitely something to watch. And as Ken has mentioned and showed on our Crossville camera, this thing is rain wrapped. So it's going to be really, really hard to tell whether or not it's on the ground, but we are going to treat it as if it is on the ground. So again, if you're in the West Mill, Clifty community, as well as downtown Crossville, go ahead, get into your safe place. Next up would be Creston and Drowning Creek, and then you have Fairfield Glade. Now, if this tornado warning does continue, which most likely will watch it continue, it is entering in kind of towards, you know, as we mentioned, that zone where it's hard to tell on the radar. Next up would be Fentress County yet again. And remember, we already had that tornado warned storm in Fentress County that has now moved towards McCreary County. And they are continuing that severe thunderstorm warning for McCreary County in Kentucky. Now, that most of those severe thunderstorm warnings will have tornado tags with them. And again, that just means that those storms have the capability of producing rotation because they already have. But again, we're still watching that that tornado warning in Cumberland County that expires at 6:15 Central Time, 7:15 Eastern Time. We will remain on air until all of these tornado warnings are expired. That's just our policy here. But again, we're continuing to watch that rotation, especially as it kind of moves through the Cumberland County area. And Ken, it does look like it is broadening some.
It does, Margot. And again, I keep going back to the camera, taking a look at it just to see what in case we do see anything. I'm seeing ponding on the roadway. Obviously, there's some very heavy rainfall. That's one of the reasons why you can't see probably less than a quarter of a mile, tenth of a mile because of the heavy rainfall. But again, this is atop City Hall. We're looking back towards the southwest. That's Main Street here. The areas going away from us is southbound traffic. Coming towards us is northbound, where we're looking at. And again, hard to see with all the heavy rainfall across the area. Seeing
I was about to say, local law enforcement in Fentress County is reporting a roof on County Highway department has been partially ripped off. This is on 527 Fairgrounds Road in Jamestown, and that was earlier where we had that rotation. Just thought I'd point that out real quick.
And it's hard to say if it was a tornado or if it was wind damage, but either way, this is what we're talking about, the potential to see winds gusting 60, 70 plus miles per hour, and sometimes an embedded tornado like we have seen with that. That's why we need to take these seriously. And again, as we say, even though if it's just a severe thunderstorm warning that's issued for your area, you have that potential always to see in these type of events to possibly see tornadoes. Now this one's getting really, really hard to see at this point. I haven't seen any update with that from Cumberland County yet, but we're coming up in the next 15 minutes. It would be canceled, but again, we're a little far from the radar site here in Middle Tennessee, so it's a little hard to see where exactly that rotation would be at this point here in Cumberland County, but I'd say it's probably there along that leading edge there between Pleasant Hill. Yeah, it's probably right through here, if anything, at this point. It's really hard to see. There does look to be some gusty winds here, now just crossing I-40, headed towards Fairfield Glade. I'm going to take a look at that camera as well. So that's the heavy rainfall there that's right in downtown Crossville. We can go across the interstate to the north and east, and this is Fairfield Glade. So this is the Dorchester Golf Course, and that's the first hole here. Tops of the trees moving quite a bit. It's quite windy there, as you would expect. Don't see anything jumping out at me saying screaming tornado, obviously, at this point. Just some very heavy rainfall the way this looks. So we'll see what they do with this. I would not be surprised, though, if they decide to let this just ride out, Margot, I would guess, until. I still want to keep an eye on these storms that are further to the south as well. These aren't in our viewing area yet, but this tornado warning here for Hamilton County, which is north of Chattanooga, there's Soddy Daisy, if you're familiar with that, that would track northward through portions of Ray and Meigs County, probably right along the border. And if those hold together, then once again, we could be talking about maybe Roane and Cumberland County. And it's really going to be like this as we go through the night. These individual storms that we have, I'll kind of turn the warnings off there for you so you can see what I'm talking about. These will be riding up to the north and east, but the little cells that we have that are ahead of any of this line like we have going across the plateau, those are the ones of biggest concern because they can get out ahead of an environment that hasn't seen storms move through them, whereas these are producing wind gusts, but it doesn't take much to cause a quick little spin up across the area. So again, just want to point that out as we go over, the next several hours as this line will continue to progress its way towards the east. But I'll turn the warnings back on. Yeah, so that one definitely needs to be watched down to the south into Hamilton County. The one here in Cumberland County, it's really hard to tell at this point if there is any rotation left. I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me, so I would not be surprised if they let this expire here at the top of the hour or at 7:15 Eastern or 6:15 Central Time when this expires. But still, I would say if there is any concern from Pleasant Hill to Crossville northward, that's where you would need to be in your safe spots. We'll say along and north of I-40, so that would include everybody there in the Fairfield Glade community, from Heatherhurst to Dorchester, all the golf courses that are there just north of the interstate. So again, kind of hard to tell at this point. I know there's been a lot of rain. That's going to continue across the area with these cells as well, and the potential for some flooding. It actually looks a little bit lighter as well. Been able to see a little bit further down the road here after that initial band of the heavier rainfall made its way through. But I've not seen an update. I don't know if you have, Margot, about the storm in Cumberland County. I've not seen an update from the Weather Service at this point.
I have not either, Ken.
Okay.
I do want to point out, though, that with these tornado warnings, just after those warnings move on through, they are typically issuing flash flood warnings. And I mean, makes sense, especially with the deep reds, the pinks that we're seeing with this initial line moving on through. Also want to point out that yes, they are continuing that tornado warned storm in Hamilton County, and this would next up would be Ray Meggs in the very, very far western half of McMinn County. Definitely something to watch. They do have a tornado tag with this severe thunderstorm warning for the very far western half of McMinn County. But next up for us would be Roane and Loudoun counties. So definitely something to watch, especially because this thing looks really, really intense, Ken, especially near Dayton, heading on into Decatur, even Spring City. But there's a lot going on right now. Most of these storms are going to be heavily, heavily rain wrapped, and again have the capability of producing hail. And it's not just the tornado rotation that we're watching, it's also those gusty winds, because those winds could really, really get up there when they're moving on through, especially with the sweeping motion that this system, this line is doing throughout our area. But again, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for Meggs and Ray, as well as the far western half of McMinn counties until 7:45 Eastern time. So we have about 40 minutes left on that. And this right here has that tornado tag on it because of this system right now affecting Hamilton County, just north of Soddy Daisy and south of Dayton and south of Decatur. And this line, this tornado warning is moving almost pretty north, Ken, if you would agree with that. And again, it looks like our Cumberland County is kind of lightening up, at least rain-wise, but definitely going to have our weather notifications turned on, especially overnight, because this is the first initial line, and we expect to see another strong line moving on through for the rest of us as we head towards late evening. Ken?
Again, I'm not seeing the rotation like we did earlier, which is good. I want to go back quickly to the Fairfield Glade camera, though. I'm going to switch over to that. You can actually see the tops of the trees in the distance there in downtown Crossville, a little darker. That's the heavier rainfall. Look at the sheets of rain moving across the pond. That's indicating that definitely some wind-driven rain, the tops of the trees swaying back and forth as some gusty winds. That's probably the leading edge, or what's left of that cell that's moving through the area, but I'm not seeing the...
They're continuing the Cumberland County tornado warning.
They are going to let it ride then?
Yeah, they're going to let it ride until 7:15 Eastern Time, 6:15 Central Time. And they're saying it's located 8 miles north of Crossville, which makes sense to look towards those golf courses.
That would be it, somewhere along this band. But notice how they have taken the southern half of that warning out now. So basically, if you're in downtown Crossville, south and west, you're fine. For now, you can get out of your safe area. So back towards Clifty and Hale Mill, you're okay for now. But this would be right close to the golf course if it's very broad. But yeah, I'd say it's right there, Margot, right there between Heatherhurst, Peavine, and Fairfield Glade if we had some rotation with that. We'll see. Once it crosses out, though, that would put it into Morgan County, which is the responsibility. There's the camera over here on the other side of the screen there on the left-hand side. That would be the live view of what it would look like there at the Dorchester Golf Course, Fairfield Glade. So right here, we're pretty close to where that rotation would be, and we're looking back towards the southwest, I think, right there from that lens, from that view. So if there's rotation, it would be right there in the Fairfield Glade area. And again, this cell was moving more towards the north and east, I believe. I'm going to put this back into motion. Yeah, I'm going to redraw that track because it's going a little further north than it is northeast. So it would be right through here, kind of right at the very edge of that warning. So pretty close to Heatherhurst Golf Course right now. Flat Rock 720, that would take it over here into Morgan County. We'll see if they extend that. I don't think they will. They may put a special weather statement on it, maybe a severe thunderstorm warning, halfway 6:16. And then again, we would jump into Morgan County with these 7 o'clock time zones. So Frankfort, Holland Ford, Flat Rock, Obed Junction, and Bucklick that would be at 7:22. So again, this is 7 more minutes. We'll stay here with this just in case. If this does drop, though, what we will do, we'll send it back to regular programming and then come back if needed if some additional tornado warnings come out. But meanwhile, we'll stay here with this cell just a little bit longer. Let me get kind of a full view. Heavy rainfall right now at Fairfield Glade at Dorchester Golf Course. I'm going to do just a quick little pan around the area so we can kind of see what's going on with that. Again, you would not be able to see. I'm looking almost due west at this point. So let me turn it maybe just a little bit further north. I'll go look up the number 9 finishing hole on the front side right there. So I'll pan it over just a little bit. We'd be looking back more as that storm would be moving away. You can see the ponding on the green, so definitely been some heavy rainfall with this, but I don't see anything that's jumping out at me saying, hey, there's a tornado with this at this point. Again, it would be very difficult to see with the heavy rainfall that we have with this. But again, the tornado warning goes a little bit longer. There's an updated scan, so that's going to put it really, again, pretty close to the edge of this warned area. So right over the Wiltshire area, Heatherhurst. I'll put it all the way into Morgan County just in case. I don't know. Margaret, I'm going to let you look and see if they have any plans to extend that to the east at this point.
Nashville says, which is that's the National Weather Service that covers Cumberland County, says all convective warnings are going to expire at 6:15. The only warnings that will be in effect are going to be the numerous flash flood warnings. Morristown has not said anything about continuing it. I do want to bring your attention a little bit kind of closer towards Spring City. That's Ray County. It's not our viewing area, but these kind of storms where they look like commas are definitely something we're going to have to keep our eye on, especially going further into this evening, because those are where we could see those quick spin-up tornadoes. So definitely something to watch, Ken, and it's a part of that severe thunderstorm warning that lasts until 7:45 that has that tornado tag on it. But just wanted to point that out to you, and I think they're gonna let this warning in Cumberland County, again, that's affecting the golf courses in Cumberland County just north of Crossville, downtown Crossville, until 7:15. And again, our policy is to remain on air until all of those warnings are over, and then we'll get back to regular scheduled programming. But again, just kind of seeing very, very heavy rain with this system moving on through. And again, we're watching for certain characteristics along this line, especially to be able to tell if there's a tornado out there or not. Ken?
Yeah, they dropped, so the warning, the severe thunderstorm warning they had for southern Cumberland, that's been dropped. I mentioned that you're in the clear now at this point. If you're from Crossville downtown south, you're okay. But still in and around the Crab Orchard area, all the way up through Druid Hills Golf Course, Heatherhurst, we're talking about Fairfield Glade community, and just about to cross over into Morgan County. But again, they're about to let this expire. I'm not seeing tight rotation. There's probably some pretty broad rotation with this. Let me switch radar sites. I don't see a lot, so I can see why they're just going to let this probably expire. But until it does, I just want to stay with this a little bit longer, and then we'll get you back, I promise, to regular scheduled programming. But know that if anything else does develop tornadic, we will be back on the air. But if there is anything of concern, it would probably be very close to the Peavine, Heatherhurst golf course area, and moving pretty quickly to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. And again, that's kind of been the problem with these. They move very quickly off to the north and east, and they don't give you a lot of time to prepare. So if the warnings do come out, we need you to go ahead and seek your safe spot, all right? This would be into Morgan County these times, Frankfort, Holland, Ford. So we don't have a tornado warning for you, but Alpine Acres halfway, that's 6:17, 6:18 Central Time. That's going to be right at the very edge of where this warning is and probably just beyond it at this point. But we'll give it 3 more minutes, and then we'll be able to send you back to regular programming briefly. But But again, the one to the south, the severe thunderstorm warning that was from south of Crossville, including Fairyland, you are clear from that. Clifty,
Expired
Pinedale.
it, Ken.
They what?
They
did?
expired the tornado warning, but do want to also report that in Cumberland County on Highway 127 North between Crossville and Clark Range, there's a lot of standing water. So please, please, please remain at home in your safe place.
Yeah, so right through here, the 127, which goes all the way up through Fentress County. That's going to be a problem throughout the night as well. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and send it back to regular scheduled programming for now. We will keep the crawl up at the bottom of the screen. If there are any additional tornado warnings that come out, we will come back on the air. But for now, we'll go ahead and send it back to regular scheduled programming.